to take away the individuality. The guards stands here. The screen is. They had military uniforms, symbols of power, billy clubs, and everybody had to wear these silver reflecting sunglasses. An idea I got from the movie Cool Hand Luke with Paul Newman. And when it began, the guards felt awkward. These are hippies, these anti-war activists, 1971. You know, they're not guards. In fact, when during an interview, we said, some of you will be guards, some of you prisoners, what is your preference? No one said, I want to be a guard. So it's not releasing sadistic guard impulse. They said, I want to be a guard. In those days, police and prison guards were thought of as pigs. They were the enemy. And so at first, guards had push-ups, jumping jacks. And then what happened in the morning, the second morning, the prisoners revolted. They didn't want to be dehumanized. They ripped off their numbers, they barricaded themselves in their cells, and they made the mistake of starting to curse the guards in their face. Then it became personal. So the guards came to me and said, what are we going to do? I said, you're a prison, what do you want to do? So we had 3 guards on each shift, who worked 8 hours. Prisoners lived there, of course, and there were 3 prisoners in each of 3 cells. So 9 prisoners to 3 guards. We had backup guards. So they said, we need all the guards. So all the guards came in, they broke down their doors, they stripped the prisoners naked. There was some physical violence, which I later stopped. And then they stripped the prisoners naked. They automatically started to humiliate them and put them in solitary confinement.
In 1971, Phil Zimbardo conducted a revolutionary experiment here in the bowels of Stanford University in the United States. It rocked the world of psychology. A group of students were divided randomly into prisoners and guards and lived in a makeshift jail. The prisoners immediately became submissive, and the guards became cruel. Within a week, Phil Zimbardo's prison was inhumane, and the experiment had to be cut short. At one stage, prisoner 416 went on hunger strike in protest. So the guards put him in solitary confinement. Amazingly, his fellow prisoners turned on him too. They were given a chance to release him.
Now, what would it be? What would it be over here? 416, you're going to be in there for a while. So just get used to it.
He is totally rejected, not only by the guards, but by his other group of prisoners. And it had a very powerful, profound effect on him.
So in 36 hours, prisoner 8612, the first one to get arrested, had a breakdown. Extreme stress reaction, screaming, crying, and we had to release him. We actually brought him to student health. And again, even though the study was about situational power, I berated my Craig and Kurt, said he slipped under the, obviously he must have had a defect coming in, because we couldn't believe that in 36 hours somebody could have a breakdown. Interestingly, he became the way to get out of the study. Now, and so each day thereafter, another prisoner had a breakdown in the same way. There was a human subject committee at that time. I signed an informed consent. They could not believe anything like this could happen. It was kids playing cops and robbers. And of course, I signed that any time somebody says, I quit the experiment, they would be released. Nobody said the words. They had to say, I quit the experiment. They said, I'm unhappy. I said, I quit the experiment. So essentially, I reframed it as, anybody who said that could be released. How do you get out of prison? You don't say, I quit the prison. You say, I want to be paroled. So we had a parole board, headed by ex-convict Carlo Prescott, met. President said, why do you want to be released? Guard said, well, they should not be released. And in fact, the parole board turned them all down. So when the 5th prisoner broke down, I realized it's out of control. I have to end this study. It was totally out of control. So the worst guard, the prisoner's named John Wayne. He was an 18-year-old freshman at Chapman College, where Nixon went to, by the way. And he took over. He was the head of the night shift. And what he did, he said, I want to make this experiment work. So he then took on he played a role. He took on a southern accent from the movie Cool Hand Luke. And he says that this is years later, that what he and the other guards did is they began to think of the prisoners as their puppets. Ultimate dehumanization. And they are the puppet masters. So listen how he frames it.
I decided that I would become the worst, most intimidating, cruel prison guard that I could possibly be. At the time, if you were questioning me about the effect I was having, I would say, well, they must be a wimp. They're weak, or they're faking. Because I wouldn't have believed that what I was doing could actually cause somebody to have a nervous breakdown. It was just us sort of getting our jollies on. Let's be like puppeteers here. Let's make these people do things.
Us getting off our jollies. So now he is creating a new role, which is influencing the other guards to follow him. And the worst things that happened were on his night shift, although bad things happened on other shifts. So how bad did it get? Things happened in our study with college students in 5 days that happened in Abu Ghraib. On the 5th night, John Wayne and the other guards in night shift line up the prisoners and say, "You're female camels, bend over." The prisoners had smocks with no underpants, so when they bent over, their butts were showing. They said, "You guys, you're male camels, get behind them." They stood behind them. They said, "Okay, doggy style, hump them." It's a play on words. Hump is a camel's hump, but it also means anal intercourse. And the prisoners began to simulate anal sex in 5 days. It took weeks in Abu Ghraib to produce the same thing. Okay, so here is our prisoners going to parole board with bags over their heads, their legs chained. And then when they went into the parole board, they took the bag off. And the parole board not only had an ex-convict, there were secretaries, ordinary people. It was a different part of the psychology department. And each prisoner got his say. Of course, everything was videotaped. I should say all of the records, the enormous records of prison study, are archived at Stanford. And they're available, everything is digital, they're available to any scholar who wants them. So here's Abu Ghraib, same bags, only bigger guns. Back in 2005,